Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening. Uh, Today is our first session for this subject. We have altogether 40 hours for this. And uh, if try to make it interactive session, if you have any question, any query, if it is not possible for um, pass your message through audio visuals, then share your thought through this chat box. Okay. Let's start with concept of taxation. Anyone? What do you mean by taxation? What is taxation?
It is nothing but the money which government collect from us civilians to pay bills, infrastructure, roads from all.
Okay, that means government are supposed to offer various type of service, welfare services to people of India. For example, infrastructure. For example, security through military forces, etc., etc. To achieve all these things, government required fund, and to raise that fund, to get that fund, government is imposing certain type of taxation. Is it so? There are
Yes.
there are there may be there are two systems through which government may raise fund. Number one, they may request their people, please contribute voluntarily to the development of the nation. That means if someone is voluntarily contributing some amount to the nation for the development of nation, that is not as donation. Whereas taxation is something where the contribution is mandatory. You have to contribute that amount, and that contribution is legally enforceable. That without any legal enforcement of any law, that should be considered as a ransom. However, if government says that you are supposed to provide it is mandatory to contribute some amount, then and with the backing of law, with the backing of legislature law passed by parliament, then it will be considered as a taxation. Who is the supreme body in India? Anyone? Who have the supreme power in India? I believe government does not have supreme power in India. Are you agree with me? Anyone? Do you think government have supreme power in India?
No, sir. It is
Then
probably Supreme Court of India.
Supreme Court of India have power? No, 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 no. Any other else? Anyone?
President.
No. Look,
People of India.
good. Uh, First, have you ever seen moon in night? Anyone?
Yes.
I hope all of us have seen moon in night, very bright. Yes or no? Do you think moon have his own power or own light?
Yes.
No, he gets its light from sun.
It's that light from suns.
Yes.
On the same note, our government, maybe state or maybe central, does not have any source of power. Do not have any power. They are just subordinate to our constitution. The supreme powerhouse is our Constitution of India. Constitution of India have all the powers, and that Constitution of India delegates that power to various authorities. Okay, so no Supreme Court, neither Supreme Court nor central government nor state government, they do not have any power. The ultimate source of power in India is Constitution of India. Okay, if suppose government has taken any action which is unconstitutional, then that law is not considered. That law is considered as ultra virus in India. Hence, that is not tenable before the law. So the ultimate source of power is our Constitution of India. Is it clear? I hope now it is everyone have that think tank that Constitution has the ultimate source of the power in India. Now, just like a big businessman, for example, I am a big businessman. I am very wealthy people. I have certain type of businesses. For doing certain businesses, I have appointed managers. Just like that, Constitution of India has appointed several manager, and that manager are known as government. Okay, but think about the situation. If the distribution of work or if the distribution of power was not made, then manager may fight among themselves. To avoid that fight, Constitution of India has distributed their power, appointed several manager and distributed their duties and their responsibilities. That means their power are distributed by them. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now, Constitution of India is the supreme source of power. If any
Yes,
law
sir.
made by if anything if any law made by any government which is against Constitution, it is not tenable. That law is illegal, void, even though it is passed by Parliament of India, even though it is approved or signed by our president. Still, if the law is unconstitutional, then surely that law is illegal, because ultimate source of power lies with Constitution of India. Done. Structure of Indian state. We know that we are a federal country. Various states have their own government, plus a central government are there. We in structure wise, this is known as federal system. Power of union states and union territories. As we discussed, first of all, the ultimate source of power is our Constitution. Constitution has sub delegate their power to various government, union government, that is known as central government, and states government. Altogether, there are 28 states are there and few union territories are there. Union territories are controlled by central government by president through lieutenant governor, and states government have their own governments. States have their own governments. There are three limbs in our constitution: legislatures, administrator, and judiciary. Legislature, I believe, who are supposed to make the law, that is our parliament. Parliament, or that may be Lok Sabha, maybe Rajya Sabha, and each and every states have their legislature body. These are known as legislature body, and one body is known as administrator. That means after passing the law, that means after law making process has completed, then that law are required to be executed or administered by certain authorities. That is known as administrator. And third link in this mechanism is judiciary. That means our courts. First, the lawmaker authority, that is known as legislature. Number two, administrator, government or certain boards are considered an executive board, executive body for that law. These are known as administrator. And third one is judiciary. If there is any disputes, then what we do, we go with judicial bodies like High Court, like Supreme Court, or any other judicial authorities. There are three limbs. Again, I am repeating: legislature, administrator, and judiciary. The power, the work is totally distributed among them. Legislature are supposed to frame the law. They are not supposed to administrate that law. Administrator are not supposed to frame the law. They are just here to execute the law made by the legislatures. And judicial authorities are do not have any power to frame the law, and they are not supposed to administer or execute the law. They are supposed to interpret it, or in case of disputes, they are supposed to interpret the law properly. That is the functions of these three bodies. Is it clear? Now comes
Yes.
to in case of judiciary, we know that the hierarchy of judiciary. which is important for taxation is first, the highest authority is our Supreme Court. In judicial body, Supreme Court, the decision made by Supreme Court is applicable, is considered as the law of land, and accordingly, unless and until there is a change in the law made by the parliament or any legislative body, then that the interpretation made by the Supreme Court shall be considered as the law of land, and it is applicable to applicable throughout the India. Then it is High Court. Respective suppose Tamil Nadu, in the state of Tamil Nadu, the respective High Court is Chennai High Court or say Madras High Court. Any decision made by Madras High Court is supposed to be applicable in the state of Tamil Nadu. And for other states, it may be used as a reference purpose. Otherwise, in case of Tamil Nadu, the decision of the High Court is binding unless and until there is a change in the law. Each and every citizen in the Tamil Nadu are supposed to obey the decision passed by the High Court. Similarly, there are few more other bodies which are like ITAT, like our CSAT. When we will discuss about income tax and GST, etc., then we will go through that thing. Apart from that, these are the upper layer, High Court and Supreme Court. Now comes to taxation under constitutions. We know that constitution has the ultimate source of power in India. Neither of the government have any source of power unless and until constitution delegate them the power to the respective governments. Now, just like, for example, I have appointed few managers, say manager A, manager B, and manager C. Now, these are my manager. They are supposed to do certain works. Which work are required to be done by manager A, and which work are supposed to be managed or done by Mr. B, and which one is done, which work are required to be done by Mr. C. If it is not clearly identified, it is not clearly discriminated, it is not clearly demarcated, then there may be some confusion among themselves. Yes or no? Just like I have in my family, there is a marriage ceremony is going on. We frame 3 teams, and one of my relative are supposed to visit my place, and he is supposed to reach, say, station Chennai today at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. I thought my manager A will be there to pick up him. Mr. A thought Mr. B will be there, or Mr. B thought Mr. C, and eventually no one was there at Chennai station at 8 p.m. It may happen. Why? What was my mistake? I appointed various person for executing the marriage ceremony, but I did not divided the duties of each and every members. If the allocation of work was made, if it's clearly made by me, suppose manager A are responsible for picking the guest, Mr. B is responsible for take care of the food, etc., and Mr. C are for comfort of our guest, etc. Then surely Mr. A would be there, should be there at Chennai airport, Chennai station at 8 p.m. Yes or no? Just like that thing, Constitution appointed managers in the name of called governments, and they demarcated their responsibilities and duties in schedule number 7. In general, central government has the power to levy taxes like excise duty. Earlier it was, now it is not there except on petroleum product. Now central government mainly levy income tax, but accept agricultural income, GST, custom duty, excise on petroleum product. I believe income tax, each and everyone know about what is a little bit, each and everyone what is that income tax. That means tax on income. What is the meaning of GST? When goods or services are supplied then government may levy goods and service tax. Custom duty, what is it? What is it? Anyone? When we are
When
supposed to
goods
levy,
are imported.
goods are imported, and in some situation it may be exported. In both, that means in case of export or import of goods, custom duty may be levied, and it is levied by central government. Excise on petroleum product. What is the petroleum product? Like crude oil, petrol, diesel, etc. Excise. What do you mean by excise? What is the meaning of excise?
Transporting goods from one state only.
The duty on manufacturing certain articles, certain product. The duty on manufacturing certain product. If anyone is producing petroleum product like diesel, petrol, etc., then they are supposed to pay duty on manufacturing since they are doing manufacturing. And this duty is known as excise, and it is supposed to be paid to the central government. Is it clear? Now, what are the source of revenue for central government? It is mainly income tax, except agricultural income, GST, custom duty, and excise on petroleum products. Number two, now we come to state government. State government, the main source of revenue of state government is GST. Earlier it was sales tax, now it is GST. Since sales tax has been subsumed in the GST law, and the major source of revenue for state government is GST. Sir, GST is also here and here. The GST, the source of revenue for GST is for both government. 50% of the collection of the GST retained by the central government and 50% is retained by the state government. We will discuss in detail when we discuss GST provision. State government gets tax revenue mainly from GST, excise on liquor, liquor for human consumption. That means if someone is manufacturing liquor, that means alcohol, then on this manufacturing activity, the state government are eligible to collect excise duty. That means duty on manufacturing. Sales tax on liquor. That means the sales tax on alcohol. Our state government are eligible to collect tax on it, and petroleum product and tax on agricultural income. In short, central government, the major source of revenue, income tax, non-agro income. Number two, GST. Number three, customs duty and excise. Which excise? Excise on petroleum products. These are the major source of revenue for central government in the form of taxation. Now comes to state government. State governments have main source from GST, excise on liquor, that means alcohol, sales tax on liquor, and sales tax on petroleum products, and tax on agro income. These are the major source of revenue for state governments. Sir, one confusion is there. In case of excise, in case of liquor, be careful. In case of liquor, excise as well as sales tax are charged by excise, and sales tax both are charged by our state government. In case of petroleum product, excise by central government and sales tax by state government. Be careful. These products are not covered under GST. No GST on these products. Done? Done? Is it clear? Done? Anyone have any question till now? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the third limb is municipalities. Municipalities get tax revenue from taxing house property, etc. Okay. Now, constitutional validity of tax. Now, we discussed that central government is authorized to levy income tax. Central government is supposed to charge custom duty. How, in that sense, then why should I not? I am also charging income tax. Say Vikas Mundra income tax. Are you required to pay Vikas Mundra income tax? The answer is definitely no. Why no? Because I am not authorized by constitution to levy any type of tax on people. Central government or state government are empowered or get some power empowered by our constitution to levy this type of taxation on us. How they derive this power through from constitution? So first of all, we are supposed to discuss article number 265 of the constitution. No tax shall be levied or collected. Here collected includes word recovered. No tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of the law. It is not like that Modi ji is thinking that I would charge some type of tax from tomorrow onwards. No, it is not possible for him to. Even though he is a Prime Minister of India, still it is not possible for him to levy certain type of tax with immediate effect without going through the legal procedure. Why? The government is not authorized to levy tax. The government, the parliament is supposed to pass a law, and government bodies are required to execute that law. Prime Minister himself is not authorized to levy any type of tax on us. The law, the legislature, the body that is parliament are authorized to levy or to charge us certain type of taxation. If any law made by government without going through legal procedure, that law is invalid, ultra virus, and it is illegal. That means no tax shall be levied or collected. Wherever I use the word collected, that means recover. No tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of the law. And what is the law? What is the authority of the law? That is the parliament. Number Next article of our constitution, that is article number 245, which says parliament may make law for the whole or any part of the territory of India. That means these are the interlinked authority of the law. And who are the authority of the law? That is the parliament. Parliament is the authority of the law that may make law for the whole or any part of the territory of India. Again, when parliament is in recess, still here, when we know that parliament is not in session each and every time round the clock, it is not possible for them. So when it is in recess, in that time, that means the parliament is not in session. At that time, the president has the power to issue certain ordinance, and they are in urgent, in emergency situation, when it is not possible for us to wait till the parliament in session. In that situation, the president of India has the power to issue ordinance, and then that would be considered as the law for that period. Once it is in session, then that ordinance we are required to pass through the parliament. That means this is a handling emergency situation in India. Now, then article number 270. Now, all the taxes and duties except those specified shall be levied by the central government and distributed between the union and the state government in manner specified by the president or through the recommendation of the finance commission. What does this means? That means whenever tax is levied by the central government, whatever type of tax is levied by the central government, except few, are required to be distributed between central government and state government. It is not like that whatever the collection central government has made, that is belongs to central government, that does not belong to Modi or central government. Certain percentage of that are required to be shared between states government. And who are on whose recommendation we are supposed to share those revenue? On the recommendation of the finance commission. The president may on the basis of recommendation made by the finance commission, president as per the order of the president, the certain portion of the taxes collected by the central government, except few, are required to be distributed between state governments. Is it clear? Right now, I am bypassing article number 271. Then we are come to article number 246. This is the major article. Read which schedule 7. 246. Article 246 provides certain lists in the constitution. These are known as list 1, list 2, and list 3. Article 246 provide us three type of lists. List 1, list 2, and list 3. List 1 is also known as union list. This one is also known as state list. And this is known as concurrent list. Now, this is the source of power for the governments. What Constitution has done? Constitution, as we discussed, they are required to distribute the power among various states, various government. If any of the activity or entry is listed in union list, on those items, central government have power to frame any law on that. If something is mentioned in state list, then the respective state government is authorized to frame any law. In other, in third list, if certain events, certain item are mentioned in the list number 3, that is known as concurrent list, both the government, central or state, are empowered to frame any law on the matter which are covered by list number 3. However, where the both government, that is say union government, that is central government, or state government, both make the law on any item mentioned in concurrent list, in that situation, and both the law we are supposed to comply. However, if there is any conflict between the law, then in that situation, the law framed by union government, that means central government, will prevail. The law framed by the state government will not prevail. Is it clear? This is the distribution of our powers. Who distributes that one? Constitution of India distributes the matters, where the responsibilities, the taxation, everything they distributed through this article 246. In article 246, we are go to schedule number 7. In schedule number 7, the schedules provides three lists: list 1, list 2, and list 3. List 1, any matter listed in list 1, that means known as union list, the central government are empowered to frame any law on that. Similarly, list number 2, the states government are empowered to frame the law. And in list number 3, both the government are empowered. However, if there is a conflict in the law, then which law will prevail? The law framed, the provision framed by the central government will prevail. Is it clear? This is the accurate difference, the distribution of our power. Done? Anyone? Anyone? Any question till now?
No, sir.
This is a pictorial presentation of whatever we discussed. Article 246, Constitution of India is the ultimate source of power. In Article 246, we are going with schedule number 7. Schedule number 7 provides certain list, union list, state list, and concurrent list, which we already discussed. Now, the major item which are covered in list 1, entry number 82. Few of the items which are covered under list union list, that is our list 1 of the schedule 7. Entry number 82, tax on income other than agricultural income. Since this entry are covered in list 1, that is union list, that means central government, union government is empowered or eligible to levy tax on income. Levy tax on income, but they are not eligible to levy tax on agricultural income. Done. Number next 83, duties of customs including export duties. That means on import as well as on export, central government is authorized to levy tax on it. 84, duties of excise on following certain product, which we already discussed on few petroleum product, that is petrol, crude oil, diesel, petrol, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel, tobacco and tobacco product. 85, that is known as corporation tax. Income tax on company are known as corporation tax. It is not corporation tax levied by municipality. That is not that is not that corporation tax. That means the tax levied on income of the company are known as corporation tax. Like if any income is generated by Reliance Industries, then on that income central government is empowered to levy tax on it. That is known as corporation tax. 97 article entry number 97 is the residual power. If any matter which are not covered in list 2 and list 3, on that matter central government is authorized to frame any law. That is the taxation part. Apart from that, central government are have some responsibility like defense, foreign affairs, war and peace, railways, banking, etc. All of these belongs to the list one. Hence, central government are entitled or eligible to frame any law on that thing. Done. Similarly, list number 2 provides tax on agricultural income. That means 46. Here in entry number 82, we know that tax on income is central government is supposed to frame the law, but that income should not be agricultural income. Who is entitled to levy tax on agricultural income? The state government is entitled to levy tax on agricultural income. Number next, excise duty on alcoholic liquor, afim, or narcotics. Who is authorized to frame the law on this one? To levy excise duty on these articles, the respective state government are entitled to frame the law on these matters. Further, apart from that, police, public health, etc. are subject matter of the states. Is it clear? Any question till now? Anyone? Anyone?
Sir, what is the difference between cess and duty, sir?
We are coming. I'm coming to that one. That one is covered by me here. I'm coming to that one. Okay.
Okay.
I already discussed that article number 271. I am bypassing that 271. When we will discuss that surcharge and cess, etc., this article is required to we understand, and then we will discuss what is the difference between surcharge and cess. Okay, fine. Now comes to these are the constitutional framework of the taxation system. That means not each and every government are entitled to levy any type of taxation. The power is well distributed or demarcated by the our constitution via schedule number 7, list 1, list 2, and list 3. If the certain matter is covered under respective list, then respective government is entitled to the frame law on that matter only. Is this clear? Now comes to taxation. Direct and indirect taxation. Tax are two types, direct and indirect tax. First of all, why we require taxation? We already know to develop infrastructure, to develop healthcare, education facilities, social security, and security from neighboring countries, etc. We need fund. We need certain sources. Then for to generate that sources, government are imposing taxes on us. That is the compulsory contribution in the government fund. If it is voluntary, then it may be termed as a donation. If it is not backed by law, then it is termed as a ransom. Done. Taxation. Tax are of two types, direct tax and indirect tax. What do you mean by direct tax and indirect tax? Anyone? Direct tax and indirect tax. What is direct tax?
Direct tax is directly taken from our salaries.
Your voice is very low.
Direct tax is directly paid by a citizen, and indirect tax is collected through our purchases and sales.
Services.
That means directly paid by citizens. That means we are when our tax is ready, we will call Narendra Modi ji. Modi ji, come here. My tax are ready. Please come and collect that money. It is so.
No, deducted from our salary.
No, sir, it is deducted directly by the employer.
That is mere one part, one aspect of the direct taxation. That is not direct. That is not complete direct tax. Okay. The tax are two type. Direct. The taxes are of two types: direct tax and indirect tax. The direct tax, someone told me that the tax which is collected directly from us, that is known as direct tax, and indirect tax which is collected via some media, some on some purchase, that is known as indirect tax. Now the exact words or meaning like this: direct tax. Direct tax, that means there are two aspects in any taxation system. One is levy and number two is burden. Number one is levy, number two is burden. Levy, that means the person who are liable to pay that tax to the government. That is known as levy. Is it clear? The person who is liable to pay tax to the respective government, that means we can say that tax is levied on that person. Is it clear? And second aspect is the burden. Who will bear the cost of that tax? Whether the person on whom that tax is levied, that is required to bear the cost of that tax. If it is the case, that means levy as well as burden belongs are on the same person, on one person. That is known as direct tax. On the other hand, where levy is on someone else and burden is on someone else, is known as indirect tax. For example, suppose I went to a restaurant, say ABC restaurant, and I enjoy the food of rupees 1,000, and that restaurant charged me 5% as GST. 5% and GST. It will cost me rupees 50. So the entire invoice value is like 1,000 plus tax 50 and total 1,050. How much money I am required to pay to that restaurant? 1,000 or 1,050?
1050.
1,050. I take the food of 1,000 only, then why I am required to pay 1,050? Why this 50 extra I am required to pay? What is that? This 50 rupees. I think it is tax levied by government, but that tax I'm not going to pay directly to the government. That means the levy of this 50 rupees, the levy of this tax is on that restaurant. The levy of this tax is on the restaurant, but, but the burden is on me. That means the levy on ABC, but the burden of that tax is on me. That means ultimately it is on consumer. If these are two different person, levy on ABC, but burden is on customer like me, then since levy and burden are two different person, this is a type of tax. Which type of tax it is? Is it direct or indirect? Sorry.
Direct.
when levy and when levy and burden are on two different person, that type of tax is known as indirect tax. That type of tax is known as indirect tax. That means the person on which the tax has been levied are not supposed to pay tax from his own pocket. He is required to collect the money from his customer and then pay that money to the government of India. Is it clear? That means Mr. ABC, the person on whom the tax has been levied, is merely an intermediary for the government. Yes or no?
Yes.
On the other hand, if any tax were levy as well as burden on the same person, like income tax, like TDS on your your salary, that means it is levied on you as well as किसकी जेब से पैसा जा रहा है? It is from your pocket. That means this is the levy as well as burden on the same person. Then it is known as direct tax. Is it clear?
Yes.
Can you give me what is the nature of GST? Is it direct tax or indirect tax?
Indirect.
Sorry,
Indirect.
indirect tax. Why it is indirect? Because it is levied on someone else and bear by someone else, borne by someone else. That's why it is termed as indirect tax. What about income tax?
Payable by one person. Everyone
Sorry,
paid.
is it direct or indirect?
Yeah.
It is direct
Direct.
because it is levied on you and you are responsible to pay tax to the government directly. That's why it is that's why it is a direct tax. This is the example of direct tax, and this is the example of indirect tax. Done. Few more features of direct or indirect taxation. Direct tax is progressive in nature. What do you mean by progressive in nature? Anyone? Progressive in nature. What do you mean by progressive in nature?
Increases as the tax amount increases as the income increases.
As income. Why we are making progressive direct taxation? Why not we charge a flat rate of tax like 5,000 per person in India? Since the facilities is provided to all of us and we are all are entitled to use that facility equally, then why not? Then why it is depending on our income? Why not we are supposed to pay flat 5,000 or 10,000 or 9,000, whatever be the amount per year to the government for utilizing that facility, for using that facility. Why not?
Because income increases. 4%.
That means that is the only type of tax. Direct tax is the only type of tax. We know that progressive nature. That means if your earning is say 50 lakh, in that situation you are supposed to pay certain more percentage, and when your income is mere 2 lakh or 5 lakh, then you are supposed to pay lesser amount of taxation to the government. That means your tax amount may be increased on the basis of if your income is on higher side, and when your tax amount will be on lower side when your income is on lower side. That's why it is known as progressive in nature. We discussed that why not government is charging a flat amount of tax. Since say I am say Mr. A. Mr. A total earning during the year is 2 lakh per annum. There are three person. Mr. A yearly income 2 lakh per annum. Mr. B yearly income 7 lakh or maybe 8 lakh per annum. And Mukesh Bhai. Do you know Mukesh Bhai? Yearly income, I don't know. In that situation, say flat rate of rupees 5,000 is levied as an income tax on each and every citizen of India. Think about Mr. A. He is supposed to pay 2.5% of his income as a tax to the government. Mr. B is supposed to pay, I believe it is around uh, I it may be 1%. My maths is very poor. It around 1%. And think about Mukesh Ambani. How much percentage of his income he is paying to pay tax? 0. I don't know how much zero I am supposed to use. Then one will be there, and that will be the percentage. In that way, if the flat rate of taxation, if government trying to impose on us, then Mr. Ambani is paying nothing. Mr. A, who is the poor people, who is considered as a poor in all these three categories, are supposed to pay much more amount of tax to the government. On Mr. B is supposed to pay mere 1%, but think about the richer person, that is Mukesh Ambani. Richest person is supposed to pay lesser amount of tax to the government of India. If this situation is if the tax is imposed in this way, then what would be the result? The rich people will be the richer. The they will become more richer, and poor people will become more poorer. Agree or disagree? Which is not a good thing for our country. Agree or disagree? That is the only tax. Direct tax is the only tax which take higher amount from richer people and take low amount or lesser or nil amount from poor people. This type of tax is used as a tools to reduce the gap between rich and poor people. That's why that is the beauty of direct tax. Direct tax is a progressive in nature. Is it clear? Is it clear to all?
Yes,
On the
sir.
other on the other hand, indirect tax is regressive in nature. What do you mean by regressive in nature? What do you mean by regressive in nature? What do you mean by regressive in nature? Anyone? Unlike direct tax, which are supposed to be on higher side on rich people and lower side on the poor people, this type of taxation, regressive tax, does not differentiate rich and poor. They are supposed to charge on rich and poor people on a flat percentage. On the basis of consumption, they are supposed to levy certain fixed percentage. Suppose uh, I visited, say, in restaurant called ABC, consume food of rupees 1,000, say I am also liable to pay tax of 5%. That means I am supposed to pay altogether 1,050. In the same restaurant, suppose Mukesh Bhai is also there and he is also taking the food of 1,000 rupees, then he is also entitled to pay, he is also liable to pay, supposed to pay 5% tax. That means this type of taxes does not differentiate whether Mukesh Ambani is taking the goods or services or whether you or me are taking that services. That means we are equal before the taxation system. This is known as regressive in nature. Think about situation where medicine or where other products. That means the tax, this type of tax is levied on goods or services, and tax is required to be paid on the basis of consumption of that goods or services. If you are not utilizing or if you are not consuming any goods or services, in that situation, you are not liable to pay indirect tax. And whoever is consuming that goods or services are required to pay fixed percentage of tax on the basis of the value of that goods or services. This is known as regressive in nature. And I believe this is not a good ideal situation in India where the gap between rich and poor are on the higher side. Do you think which type of tax is regressive? Any example? The tax which is regressive in nature. Any example? Any tax which is regressive in nature?
If we buy any goods,
Sorry,
we buy any goods,
that is goods and service tax. Goods and service tax. GST is an example that is regressive in nature and that is an indirect tax. Custom, surely. These are the example where we can say these are indirect tax, and all indirect taxes are regressive in nature. That means it does not differentiate between rich and poor people. But government, but the major source of revenue for the government is this indirect tax. One more thing, government is utilizing this indirect tax to control the consumption of particular product or for public welfare. How they are doing that thing? Suppose Sandeep Dubey, one of our students, Sandeep, the pocket money for Mr. Sandeep is 1,000 rupees only per month. He is getting rupees 1,000 from his father 1,000 rupees per month as pocket money. He habitually he is taking his smoking, and the cost of per stick is say 50 rupees. The cost of per stick is say rupees 50. How many sticks he can consume during a month? Maximum? Anyone? I believe 20. He can consume 20 sticks in a month by utilizing that 1,000 rupees. 50 rupees per month per stick is the cost price. So maximum he can consume 20 stick of cigarettes, and accordingly his lungs will be in danger position. Now government is thinking that how to avoid, how to save the lungs of Mr. Sandeep. They will call ITC and say that instead of 50, please pay 50 rupees to me as a tax. Now the cost of cigarette would be on higher side, that is on 100. Now how much cigarette sticks he may consume? In that situation, he may, his 20 sticks are not available at that amount of 1,000 rupees. Now he is supposed to consume only 10 sticks of the cigarette. By this way, government is saying that I'm taking money, that is fine, but I'm also on the same time I'm also saving the lungs of Mr. Sandeep. I'm taking care of lungs of Mr. Sandeep by levying much more taxation on seen product like small cigarettes, etc., etc. That means government is trying to utilize the indirect tax in that way also. Furthermore, government is trying to suppose government is supposed to reduce the consumption of certain article. Trying to reduce the consumption of certain article, they make it costlier by levying more taxes on it. By this way, that item, the consumption of that article may be reduced. And if government want to use that to consume, people are supposed to use that article on maximum side, they will reduce the tax, that is indirect tax, on that type of article, so that the consumption of that article will be on higher side. That means government is using that tools uh, while importing or exporting. If government suppose thinking that you are not supposed to import iPhone, since iPhone are costlier, and due to that iPhone importation, say government balance trade deficit would be there. So government trying to discourage to purchase, to consume, to buy iPhone, they will levy extra duties, extra taxes on it, so that it become costlier for you, so that people will consume, buy lesser amount of iPhone. That way government are utilizing indirect taxation also. Is it true? Is it okay? These are the features of direct or indirect tax. Direct tax, incidence and impact, that means burden, fall on the same person, whereas in case of indirect tax, incidence and impact fall on two different persons. Assessee himself bears such cost, such tax, that means it pinches the taxpayer. Since the person, in case of direct tax, the tax is required to be paid by the person himself. That means the recovery is the biggest challenge for the government. In case of indirect tax, since on the person on whom the tax is levied, the mindset of the people are like that. I'm required to collect that money from someone else and required to pay to the government. I'm not supposed to pay any type of taxes from my own pocket. In that situation, the mindset is of the people like that. In that case, the collection is easier for the government. Generally, direct tax is levied on income. On the other hand, indirect tax is levied on goods and services. Since it is levied on goods and services, it will increase the inflation. The example of indirect tax is GST, custom duty, we already discussed. Direct tax is progressive in nature. On the other hand, indirect tax is regressive in nature, and it will be useful tools to promote social welfare by checking the consumption of harmful goods or seen goods we discussed, like cigarette, etc. Done. These are the graphical presentation what we had discussed, progressive in nature or regressive in nature. When your income is on higher side, then tax will be on higher side in case of direct tax. If your income on lower side, then your tax would be lower or nil amount of tax you are required to pay. In case of indirect tax, all person, whether you have high income or low income, you are required to pay on the basis of consumption of goods and services. Any question till now?
No.
Any question? Okay. Now comes to few more component of taxation. Apart from tax, government sometime also surcharge, sometime also charge cess. What is this surcharge and cess? And what is the basic difference between these three component? For example, income tax. If you're in case of individual, if your income is up to say 10 lakh, in new regime it is 15 lakh, I'm considering 15 lakh, you are supposed to pay certain percentage of taxation. Between 15 lakh to 50 lakh, you are required to pay 30% of tax. If your income is more than 50 lakh plus, then you are required to pay 30% of tax plus surcharge at the rate of 10%. Now the question is that why government is saying that we are required to pay surcharge? It should be like this. If government want to make it simple, then the slab rate would be like in this way. Suppose up to 3 lakh, it is nil. Then say up to 15 lakh, it is 30%. Up to 50 lakh, it is 30%. When your income is between 50 to 1 crore, instead of making this surcharge at the rate of 10%, why not they are making 33% as a tax? Net is 30% plus 10% is 33%, but they are not making this way. They are making in this direction, 30% plus surcharge at the rate of 10%. Is there any difference? Sometimes cess is there, education and health cess and some other cesses are there. Why government is not taking extra money? The intention is very clear. Government needs some extra money from us, but why they are making a complicated mechanism, 30% plus surcharge plus cess? Instead of that, if government say that I need 35% of tax if your income exceeds 50 lakh, then fine, the calculation would be much more easier. But government is not doing that way. Why? What is the reason? The reason lies here. Article number 271. Article number 271. This is the reason. This is the main reason. We know that Article 270, what is say? Any tax and duties collected by central government are required to be distributed among central government and state government. Yes or no? On the basis of recommendation of the Finance Commission. We know that. We learned that one. Is it so? Is it clear? This one we already discussed. Article number 270. Anyone? Now come to article number 271. Parliament may at any time increase any of the duties or taxes referred in those articles by a surcharge for the purpose of the union. That means if the central government levied tax on us, then that tax is required to be distributed between state governments on the basis of recommendation made by Finance Commission. However, if central government levied surcharge, if central government levies surcharge on us, by virtue of this article number 271, that means extra tax on us, tax on tax, that surcharge is not required to be distributed among states. Not required to be distributed. That means the entire money which the government, which the central government has received in the name of surcharge shall form part of consolidated fund of India, and the controlling authority lies with central government. That fund government is not required to distribute among state government. And third aspect is that cess. In income tax, health and education cess is levied. In GST compensation cess is levied. Think this money, the amount collected in the name of cess belongs to central government. It is not required to be distributed. But the purpose, but the restriction is that for whatever the purpose it is collected, suppose government is collecting health and education cess, that fund are required to be utilized only to provide that type of facility. In case of surcharge, government have full control in it, and they are free to utilize that money whatever in whatever manner they required. But says, but the says, if the fund is collected, if the tax is collected in the name of says, then that is required to be utilized in the purpose for which it was collected. If the health and education cess is collected, then government is supposed to utilize that fund only for the purpose of health and education of the people of India. That should not be utilized for any other purpose. For example, government want to provide some food to the poor people. To acquire this food item, government cannot utilize this health and education cess. Government cannot utilize that fund to provide fooding facility to the people of India. However, they may utilize this surcharge money, they may use this tax money, but says they can't. However, to provide health facility or education facility, they may use this one, they may use surcharge, they may use tax. That is the basic difference between these three words: tax or duties, surcharge, and cess. Is it clear to all? Is it clear to all? Tejaswini ji,
Yes, sir. I got you. I understood.
understood? You asked that question. I know.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
believe.
sir.
Okay.
I
Now, is it
asked.
clear to you? What is the difference between these three parts?
Yes, sir.
Tax, surcharge, and cess.
Yes.
Surcharge, the amount collected by central government is not required to be distributed among states. Tax is supposed to be distributed among a certain percentage of tax are required to be distributed among states on the basis of recommendation made by Finance Commission. And the says the purpose is very clear. The money, the fund created through that says are required, are supposed to be utilized to provide that facility only. That is the basic difference. In recent trend, central government has increased surcharge amount. That means the fund collected through in the name of surcharge belongs to central government only. No one can claim on it. Done? Is it clear to all? Sandeep, Kirtan?
Yes, sir.
Try to make it interactive. Make it interactive. Okay. Okay. I believe this aspect is clear to all of us. Now, these are the basic. Both are additional levy and collected for providing various facility. Levied as per Article 271 for the purpose of union only. Union, that means central government. It is collected, says on the other hand, collected only for a specific purpose and can be utilized only for that purpose. Surcharge is supposed to be collected on tax on the other hand, cess is supposed to be collected on tax plus surcharge. That means it is super tax. Now comes to constitutional 101st amendments. Any idea about that one? This is the basic constitutional aspects for the taxation. After this class, when we will discuss from that, that means tomorrow onwards, we will discuss respective act, that is income tax law, GST law. This is the our constitutional aspect. Now comes to constitutional for 101 amendment. Any idea what is it? Anyone? What is that amendment? What is that change? Okay, now we are supposed to understand what is it, what is this change. I need some page here. Now we discussed that, till now we discussed that there are two lists, list 1, list 2. List 3 we are not going to discuss. List 1, central government are entitled for income tax other than agro income. State government is entitled for tax on agro income. That's fine. This position is still on. But now comes to indirect taxation. Excise, central government are supposed to levy. Before this change, what was the situation? Sales tax, or we can say that VAT, that is intra-state, is in the list 2. CST is supposed to be collected, central sales tax, suppose levied on interstate transaction, but after collection, the money would belong to respective state government. Number 3, service tax is supposed to be levied by central government. Excise duty on alcohol, that means liquor, is supposed to be the list of covered in list number 2. That means the power is distributed among various stakeholders. Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Now, if you imagine, we are supposed to make this one as a single tax. Only one tax for entire all this type of taxation. Government is trying to reduce the compliance burden for citizen like us. Since if in earlier era, in pre-2017 era, I am a manufacturer, I am supposed to pay excise duty to the central government. I am required to maintain goods as per excise law. I am required to furnish return to the respective department for on monthly basis, etc. If I am the manufacturing certain things, surely I will sell that thing to the in the market. If I am selling that goods, I am again supposed to pay sales tax, and that tax belongs to state government, and I am required to pay. I am required to furnish certain return, certain books of accounts to the respective state department. If I am providing services, then I am supposed to furnish service tax return and again required to pay tax to the service tax department. There are so many due dates. There are so many compliances. Think about the situation of a businessman. How many compliances he is supposed to do on monthly basis? Is it possible for anyone to comply all this law? And whenever if you mistake at one place, heavy penalty would be there, and there is a chances there, since there are a lot of compliances are there, it may be happen that sometime you forget to furnish some return. It may possible or not. Yes or no? So government thought that why not we reduce the burden of our citizen and frame a single law instead of excise, CST, service tax, sales tax, and some more are there. We will combine all this law and we'll make a single law called GST, called Goods and Service Tax. Now, the thinking is very correct. It should be or it should not be. What is your opinion? It should be merged or it should not be merged. What is your opinion?
It should be merged, sir.
It should be merged. It should be merged. Sure. Everyone agree with that one? Now, if I'm trying to merge all these things, what is that? The hurdle is our constitution. If anything done by government which is not as per constitution, is it a good law or a bad law? Is it a good law or a bad law? If any government levy any type of tax which is beyond constitution, which is not as per constitution, surely it is a bad law. Agree or disagree? Now try to understand, if a single law is supposed to be made, then a person like me, suppose I am buying 1 lakh worth of goods, and on this I'm supposed to pay tax of say 10%. GST is 10%, say 10%. Then out of this 10%, 50% belongs to central government and 50% belongs to state government. That means a single tax is levied on us, but the revenue is for both government, central as well state. Agree or disagree? Now, if the current that position of the constitution says that if this is a sale, I am buying this 1 lakh from a retailer and paying 10% tax, then 50% belongs to central government. Why central government is entitled to take money in that one? Because tax on sale is a subject matter of state. It is not covered by union list. It is not mentioned in union list. Central government is not entitled to collect tax on sales transaction. But here, after this GST, what is supposed to be happened, if someone is collecting tax on sale, suppose I bought a laptop from a retailer worth rupees 1 lakh, 10% tax is there, say altogether 10,000 tax I am required to pay. Out of this 10,000, 5,000 belongs to central government and 5,000 belongs to state government. Why central government is entitled? Why central? I'm not central government is not authorized to collect a tax on this sale transaction. Central government is entitled to collect tax on manufacturing. Central government is entitled to collect tax on services, but that government is not entitled for sales, collect tax on sales activity. Similarly, suppose I'm service provider. Suppose I'm a similar service provider. Central government are entitled to take the money to levy tax on it. State government is not entitled to levy tax on services earlier. Now, now, even after passing this GST, this out of this 10,000, 5,000 belongs to state government and 5,000 belongs to central government. Then, as per constitution, state government is not entitled to take tax on services or not entitled to collect money on manufacturing. That is the biggest hurdle to make a single simple law before the parliament. Agree or disagree? The constitution, the provision, the power distribution made by the constitution earlier was the biggest hurdle for this making the single law. Agree or disagree? I am supposed to pay 10,000 to the government, but which government? That is the biggest problem. In earlier mechanism, on the sale, entire 10,000 belongs to state government. if it is a case of services, entire 10,000 should belongs to the central government. But after GST, since it is a single law, then 50% belongs to central government and 50% belongs to state government. Even though on that transaction, as per constitution, central government or state government are not entitled to levy tax on me. That was the biggest hurdle to make this law in a single piece of law, to merge all this law in a single piece of law. Is it clear in your mind? Is it clear in your mind? That means if any law with that constitution part, if any law has been framed in such a manner, that law is illegal. Yes or no? Because that law and a government are not supposed to pass any law which is beyond constitutional power given to them. In that situation, this whatever with the law passed by the parliament, even with the permission with the all state governments, that law is not constitutional. So to happen that thing, it should be done. Government needs change in the constitution. Government needs change in the constitution. Constitution of India is required to be amended. And we know that constitution is not supposed to be amended through a simple majority. Do you know that thing? Through simple majority, we can't change. Any government can't change constitution of India. Earlier, to make this law, this type of transaction happen, various government tried, but since due to certain political issues, it was not there. But but after the government will be there, there is a thumping victory, and they have full majority and have some good amount of seats in after 2014 election. They they change the constitution, amend the constitution for betterment of our taxation system. They pass. Now the system is that now both government are entitled to collect tax like GST. Now both government are entitled to collect tax like GST. Now this mechanism excise, hence this one, CST, service tax, sales tax on VAT, all gone, all are covered under the umbrella of GST and with constitutional backing. By amendment, they made provision in the constitution, they amended the provision, and the amended provision provides right to both government to collect tax called GST. That is and that amendment is known as Constitution 101 Amendment. Done? Done? Someone is asking what happened if transaction happened in union territory. In that situation, is instead of state government, union territory, authority of union territory, that is lieutenant governor are entitled. That tax belongs to union territory. Is it clear till now? Now think about why GST. One aspect we discussed, compliance burden was there. Other aspects, any other reason why GST is required? Why these all taxes are required to be merged? Any idea? Any idea? One, we thought yes, compliance burden should be reduced. That's why it should be merged. Any other thought? Now think about one example I'm giving. Try to understand that example. What was the problem in earlier mechanism? Suppose before VAT mechanism, earlier, that means when we got independence, we 60s, 70s, what was the taxation system was there? Even up to 2003, that system was there. Suppose I bought a product worth rupees 1 lakh. And on this product at sales tax at the rate of 10% is applicable. So my vendor charged me 10,000 as a tax. Altogether, my cost for this would be 1,10,000. Agree or disagree? On this cost, I added 40,000 as my profit margin. So my sale price became 1,50,000. I sold this article to Mr. B at the rate of 1,50,000. Since this is again a sales transaction, 10% tax, that means 15,000 I am required to pay to the government. So I collected that money from Mr. B. The total cost in hands of Mr. B is 1,65,000. Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? I bought certain item from Mr. A for rupees 1 lakh. And on this, Mr. A charged rupees 10,000 as a sales tax. Total cost for me is 1,10,000. Added 40,000 as my profit. Total sale price for me is 1,50,000. Sold this product to Mr. B for 150. On this sales transaction, again, sales tax would be there, 15,000, 10% of 1,50,000 comes to 15,000. The cost in hands of Mr. B would be 1,65,000. Is it clear to all? Example is clear. Example is clear. Now, what was the problem in this transaction? Think about this 15,000. Consider this 15,000. Can I say this 15,000 has three breakups? 10,000, 1,000, and 4,000. This is the breakup of this 15,000. How could I derive that one? This 1,50,000 consists of this 1 lakh, this 10,000, and this 40,000. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
10% of this is 10,000. 10% of this tax is 1,000. And 10% of my profit element is 4,000. Agree or disagree? Don't you think that this 10,000 and this 10,000 are the same? This 10,000 and this 10,000. Can I say that this 10,000 is double tax on the same value? Yes or no? This is the double tax. That means first government has levied tax here. That means here 1 lakh. And again, since this 1 lakh became the part of this 1,50,000, government is again levying tax on it. Can I say that this 10,000 is a tax on the same value? That means we can say that this is a double tax. Yes or no? Agree or disagree? Moreover, think about this 1,000. This is the tax on the tax earlier paid by me. This is not only the tax on the value. This is the not only double taxation. This is tax on tax. Agree or disagree? And this 4,000 belongs to the value addition made by me. Tax on value addition made by me. And this is the first time the tax has been levied on this 40,000. That is the first time. Agree or disagree? In any mechanism, if there is a double taxation, if there is a tax on tax, don't you think the cost, the price would be on inflationary? The pricing, the inflation would be on higher side if this type of mechanism would be in the system. Agree or disagree? Yes or no? True. Since there is a double taxation, moreover, tax on tax, this tax on tax is known as cascading effect of tax. And number three, this is the fresh addition, 4,000. Since these two elements in the taxation leads to inflation. Agree or disagree? Anyone? Now, to reduce this thing, to eliminate these two products, to eliminate this double taxation or cascading effect of tax, government introduced VAT mechanism. government introduced VAT mechanism. What is VAT mechanism? I'm again trying to explain that one. I'm removing that one. Now again, go with this example under VAT mechanism. I bought a goods worth rupees 1 lakh from Mr. A. On that, he charged 10,000 as a tax. I would not consider that 10,000 as a cost of that goods. I would consider just like prepaid expenditure. That means my asset. So it would not form part of my cost of that goods. It would be considered as a prepaid expenditure, which is technically that is known as ITC. But for right now, I'm using the word prepaid expenditure since since it is a prepaid expenditure, it should be considered as an asset. On this 1 lakh, I added 40,000, the same percentage, the same amount, the profit I added altogether 140 I got. And this at this price, I'm selling these goods to Mr. B. Again, I'm supposed to levy for 10% tax. Now tax amount is 14,000. The cost in hands after tax in hands of Mr. B is 1,54,000. Earlier, that was 1,65,000. Earlier, that was 1,65,000. So first of all, the product which is available at 1,65,000, now it is available at 1,54,000. Agree or disagree? How the amount is reduced by 11,000. The price is reduced 165 minus 154, that comes to 11,000. The exact difference is 11,000. And what is that 11,000? Double taxation of 10,000 and tax on tax of 1,000 altogether comes to 11,000. Exactly, your price is reduced by 11,000. That is possible only through VAT mechanism. That's what we have done. We eliminated double taxation. We have eliminated tax on tax from the system. How it was be there? Since after getting this 14,000 money, I'm supposed to pay 14,000 to the government, and I already paid 10,000 at the time of acquisition of that goods. That means out of 14,000, I already paid 10,000 beforehand. Whatever the remaining amount, that is 4,000, I'm supposed to pay to the government. And what is that 4,000? The beauty of this mechanism that this is exactly the amount on tax on the amount which I have added as my profit margin. This was the VAT mechanism. By introducing VAT mechanism, what we have achieved eliminated double taxation, eliminated tax on tax. By this way, inflation are reduced. Yes or no? Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Sir, one point here, one more point here. Sir, in general, in excise, in excise, that means manufacturing, duty on manufacturing, this concept was there since 1987. In case of sales tax, it was replaced by VAT. Sales tax means the levied by state government. It was replaced by VAT in 2003. Since the mechanism is very smooth, so why we need GST? Why we need GST? Here one page was there. What is that? I'm explaining right now. VAT mechanism is clear to all. VAT mechanism is clear to all. In the VAT mechanism, the tax payment, the tax paid by me at the time of acquisition is considered as a prepaid tax. And whenever I'm selling that goods, whatever the amount of tax I have collected from my customer, I will reduce the prepaid tax from that liability, and differential amount I would like to pay to the government. That is the VAT mechanism. And in short, in full form, what is the VAT? VAT means value added tax. The amount of addition made by me I'm required to pay tax on that amount only. I added 40,000 in the value of the goods. I required to pay exactly 4,000. That is known as value added tax. The disadvantages now, the earlier VAT was there. The VAT was at state level or central level, but it is not at country level. In that situation, what happened? Suppose I bought certain goods from Maharashtra. I bought certain goods worth rupees 1 lakh from Maharashtra. In that situation, I'm required to pay tax on it, say 10%. I know 10% was not the rate, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm making it 10%. I'm required to pay 10% on it. Total cost for me is 1 lakh 10,000. But as per VAT mechanism, what I have done, considering 1 lakh and this 10,000, I'm considering as a prepaid tax. Now I added 40,000 in VAT mechanism. I also added 40,000 and I'm selling these goods in the state of West Bengal. I'm selling these goods in the state of West Bengal. I acquired these goods in the state of Maharashtra and I'm selling these goods in the state of West Bengal. On this sale, I'm required to pay tax of rupees 14,000. Now, I'm required to adjust prepaid tax of 10,000 with this 14,000, and now I'm required to pay 4,000 to the West Bengal government. Here, West Bengal government raises a question. Here, West Bengal raises some certain objection. No, sir, you are not supposed to adjust this 10,000 against this 14,000 liability. I asked him why. They said me, sir, this 10,000 you did not pay to us. Sir, I paid this money to the government, but which government? I paid, since I acquired from Maharashtra, I paid this money to the Maharashtra government. Since this was not paid to us, hence we are not supposed to adjust this 10,000 against the liability of 14,000. In that situation, you are required to pay 14,000 to the West Bengal government. Got it? The question where we started is still there. That means double taxation and transferring effect of tax would be there. Since it is not adjustable with this liability, hence I am supposed to consider this as my cost, and accordingly, I am required to pay 15,000 to the government authorities. And exactly we landed when we started pre-VAT era. Since the VAT mechanism was intra-state level, or same government tax are required to be adjusted with the liability tax liability with the same government. The inter-source connectivity, interportability of taxation was not there. That was the biggest problem. Hence, in case of intra-state transaction, that means if a transaction is buyer and seller both are located in the same state, VAT mechanism is working very fine. But where the transaction is supposed to be happened in interstate, that means buyer and seller are located in two different states, VAT mechanism is not workable solution, because the tax earlier, the tax paid by me at the time of acquisition of goods belongs to some other government, and at the time of making the sale, the tax required to be paid at the time of sale, that tax belongs to some other government, and that is not supposed to be knocked off. That leads to double taxation, that again leads to tax on tax, again that leads to inflation in the system. To eliminate all these things, to reduce all these things, government introduced GST, goods and service tax. Now in goods and service tax law, whenever you are paying tax to whatever government, you are entitled to offset that one. That is, by that through that mechanism, we adjust the price are reduced, the inflation is reduced, the double taxation mechanism has been eliminated, tax on tax, that is transferring effect of tax, has been eliminated. Is it clear? Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
What was the problem? In earlier days, is it clear? VAT introduced, then GST introduced. And that for the purpose of GST, we need change in constitution. Why? The constitutional distribution of power is not suitable platform for levying GST. That's why we need GST change amendment in constitution. That was happened by a 101 amendment in the constitution. And after amendment of the GST Constitution of India, government implemented GST, and that was implemented. That means levied with effect from 1st July 2017. That was levied through 1st July 2017. Is it clear to all?
But sir, end user is still the cost is also different, no, due to that GST.
No. End user is also
जैसे कहने का मतलब ये है कि जैसे गुड्स जो निकलते तो एंड यूजर तक जो जीएसटी का जो टैक्सेशन का अमाउंट है वो गवर्नमेंट के जो रेवेन्यू आता है तो उससे भी इफेक्ट पड़ रहा है ना सर कॉस्टिंग पे तो
no. Revenue of the government on prima facie, if you consider single isolated transaction, the revenue of the government will be on lower side. Consumer will be benefited. How? Here again we discussed, if there was no GST, then consumer, suppose I am selling that goods to consumer, then the consumer is supposed to pay 1,65,000. If there is a VAT mechanism or GST mechanism, consumer is supposed to pay only 1,54,000. Consumer is benefited by 11,000. The value of the goods, the cost in hands of consumer will be reduced by 11,000. Yes or no? This is near as two-layer transaction. If it is a multi-layer transaction, then the benefit would be on higher side.
Okay.
In this example, if you notice, at present in GST, this would be the mechanism, inter or intrastate. This mechanism would be there. If this is the case, the cost in hands of consumer would be only 1,54,000. On the other hand, if there was no GST, the cost in case of interstate acquisition, the cost in hands of consumer would be 1,65,000. Where is it benefit? Don't you think it is beneficial to consumer too? Yes or no?
Yes sir.
Now one more point. Who will be if it is beneficial to consumer, then who will be the loser? If it is beneficial to the consumer, who will be the loser? Anyone?
Sorry sir, repeat the question.
If it is beneficial, that means consumer are required to pay 11,000 lesser amount for buying these goods. Then who will be the loser of that money?
Government.
Government. Government is the loser of that money. Now few more episodes were is supposed to be added in this story. I believe this story till now it is clear. What was the purpose? What was the problem in earlier system? Now, GST. Earlier what happened? Suppose Mr. A is located in Maharashtra. Mr. B located in Chennai. Mr. B acquires certain goods from Mr. A of Maharashtra. Say worth rupees 1 lakh. On this transaction, 10,000 tax. Suppose 10,000 tax are there. Who is entitled to get that 10,000? Who, as per constitution, the tax on sale is supposed to be collected by state government. Yes or no? Pre-GST era. In pre-GST era, in case of sales tax, that should be collected by state government. Now question arises, which state government? Maharashtra itself a state government. Tamil Nadu itself a state government. Who is entitled to retain this 10,000 money of tax on sales? Is it Maharashtra government? Is it Tamil Nadu government? Tamil Nadu government is saying, since buyer is located within my state, so I am entitled to that money. Maharashtra government is saying that no, seller is in my state, so I am entitled to this money. So who is entitled? Which government is entitled to collect this 10,000? Any suggestion? Pre-GST era. Selling state. There was a dispute among these states. In this situation, which government is entitled to settle this dispute? To settle this dispute, central government play a role of big brother, and to settle this dispute, they decided, central government decided that in this type of transaction, the revenue belongs to selling state. The revenue belongs to selling state. That means wherever seller is located, this 10,000 belongs to that particular state. That means this 10,000 goes to Maharashtra government. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now, in GST, that means with effect from 1st July 2017, the biggest change in the GST is that after implementation of GST, the revenue of the tax belongs to the buying state. That means the destination of the goods. That means not from the originated, from which state it is originated. The tax is not supposed to be collected by that government. After GST, this tax money belongs to Tamil Nadu government. That was the biggest change, reform in indirect tax mechanism. Earlier, the indirect tax on sales, etc., are supposed to be the revenue of the selling state. But after GST, this GST, the 10,000 amount of tax belongs to the state in which the buyer is located. That means Tamil Nadu. That's why GST is termed as destination based tax. That's why GST is termed as consumption based tax. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? That was the biggest shifting from revenue of selling state to the revenue of the buying state. That was the biggest change in the GST mechanism, in the indirect taxation. But there was a hurdle. The thinking was that, but the hurdle is that now think about Maharashtra government. Do you think Maharashtra government will agree? Maharashtra government will say that no, we don't need this type of mechanism. Whatever the system was there as per constitution, we will go with that one. Do you think Maharashtra government will agree with this type of mechanism? Now, central government is trying to explain this situation, trying to change the situation. Example, I'm going to change it. Maharashtra is seller and buyer is located in, say, Manipur. Earlier, revenue belongs to Maharashtra. Now revenue belongs to Manipur. Government, Maharashtra government does not agree. Manipur, obviously, they should be agree with this mechanism. Now, Maharashtra government is trying to say that in this mechanism, my revenue would be reduced. So why should I cooperate? Central government is trying to understand, giving that understanding that Since this is a federal country, we are not here, we are the government, we are not here to collect tax. We are not supposed to motive of collecting tax is not the profit. The motive is that to welfare the people. And if we shift that mechanism from seller state to buyer state, in that situation, the revenue would be the revenue to the state would be amortized or distributed as per the population, in the proportionate of the population belongs to the respective states. Yes or no? If Manipur have a population of 50 lakh people, then that government will consume the goods requirement of 50 lakh people. If Maharashtra have population of say 8 crore, then Maharashtra will consume the goods requirement required by 8 crore people. That's why the revenue, the collection of revenue, after shifting this, the collection of the revenue should be in the proportionate of the population residing in respective states. By this way, Manipur will get good amount of money. That's why through that money they will develop infrastructure in their states, and through that infrastructure, the people would grow. That was the science behind this shifting. But still, paisa ka baat to paisa se hi hoga. Maharashtra government does not agree with that one. In that situation, Maharashtra is saying that if I am taking mere an example, it is not Maharashtra or Manipur, it is not between Maharashtra and Manipur, it is mere example to understand what was the situation. Maharashtra still are not ready, the seller state are not ready. In that situation, central government assure them, if there is a reduction in your revenue, if there is a reduction in your revenue, we are there. I am with you. I will compensate you. Dear Maharashtra, if your revenue after implementation of GST, if your revenue would be reduced, then we are there. I will, central government will compensate you. Maharashtra asked, again raised certain question. They asked how to calculate the loss of the revenue. What should be the benchmark amount of the revenue? Central government said, consider financial year 2015-16 as a benchmark. In this financial year, how much revenue you got? If after implementation of GST, if your revenue fall below that benchmark, the difference amount would be compensated by central government. Maharashtra government again raised certain question. I'm not talking about Maharashtra government. That means selling state. Again, this is a mere discussion. They are again raised certain questions. Why we are considering 15-16 as a benchmark? Suppose in the year of 2021-22, again you are compensating me, considering the benchmark of 15-16. In that 5 years era or 6 year era, there may be some inflation. We are supposed to increase our revenue, so our revenue would be on higher side, and you are calculating compensation considering, you are calculating losses of revenue considering this benchmark. Central government says, okay, this is the issue. Consider 14%, 14% increment in your revenue in each year in financial year. And if your revenue shortfall, then considering that increment, the difference I'm supposed to pay. That assurance has been given by the central government. Earlier, that compensation is for 5 years. Now it is enhanced up to 2026. That means up to March 26, if there is any loss of revenue to the respective state government, then central government is supposed to compensate that money. For funding that thing, central government impose GST compensation cess. Again, this is a cess. And the purpose of the cess is GST compensation cess. We already discussed that fund, if is collected in the name of cess, that fund should be utilized in the same purpose for which it was collected. To compensate that fund, central government to compensate in worst situation, if government is supposed to compensate state government, so they created, they charge extra GST on certain item called in the name of GST compensation cess. on certain item like luxury goods or certain same products. That tax has been levied. Apart from GST, GST compensation cess has also been levied by central government on certain luxurious goods or certain specified same products. Is it clear to all? After settling all these things, on 1st July 2017, GST become reality. First of all, the first step for GST change in the constitution. Why it is required to be done, we already discussed. After changing, we need acceptance among all the states. So government assured them GST compensation says was there. After assuring all these things, there is a GST become reality with effect from 1st July 2017. Is it clear to all? Any question? Any question from this chapter? After becoming GST, these taxes are subsumed, that means merged into GST law. Now, earlier, this number of taxes are there. We are supposed to comply with each and everything. These taxes now subsumed in the GST. Now, these are not there. Instead of that, we got GST. That means number of tax law are reduced. Any question? Any query?
Sir, can you please repeat what is the purpose of that benchmark year and at 14%, sir?
The requirement is that since we are shifting from seller revenue, the state who is getting that tax amount. Earlier, the system was that the tax amount belongs to the seller. In case of sales, the tax amount belongs to seller state. Now, in GST era, the tax amounts is the collection that whatever the amount of collection is made by as GST, the tax belongs to buying state. The tax belongs to buying state. That means the goods where it is destinated. That means the system has been totally reversed. In order to compensate the selling state, government says that we are here. The central government promised that we are here. If you have any losses, then we should compensate you. Then to calculate losses, how to calculate loss? Suppose if I have earning, earlier I have an earning of 1 lakh rupees per month, and now I am earning, say earlier I have 1 lakh rupees per annum, now I am earning 80,000. So we can say that 20,000 is a loss to me. Yes or no? Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir. Yes, sir.
If this amount is not known, then how could I know the this year earning is 80,000? How could I say that I have deficit in my earning? How could I calculate deficit? So we need some comparison. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
To that comparison, first of all, government suggested that financial year 2015-16, that means 15-16, whatever revenue you have collected in financial year 2015-16, take this amount as a benchmark, say 1 lakh. In
Okay.
after GST, suppose it is 80,000, then we can say that 20,000 is the loss amount. How to calculate this loss? Then again, Maharashtra government is saying 1 lakh is for 15-16, fine. But for 5 years, 6 years, we in inflationary economy, this amount should also be increased. So government promised them, make it each and every, the benchmark for calculating this loss revenue, add 14% in this, adopt 14% in this. In next year, consider 1,14,000 as benchmark. And if your revenue is below 1,14,000, we will compensate you. In next year, 114 into 14%, I believe 128,500, whatever be the amount. 1,14,000 into 14%. 129,960. In next year, if your revenue go below 129,960, I am here to compensate you. If your revenue is 135, no compensation. If your revenue is only 129, then we will compensate you 960. To calculate the compensation, the amount of compensation, to calculate the amount of losses, we need some benchmark figures. Okay.
Okay.
Any
So
other question?
this
Any
will
other
go on
question?
till, sir, this will
Sorry.
go on till 2026 March.
26 March. Earlier it was for 5 years. Now it is enhanced up to 2026.
After 2026 March, there will be no compensation from central
No,
government to any
no
state government.
compensation. No compensation.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Any other question? Any other query? Okay. Hopefully you enjoyed the session. If you enjoyed the session, please send some comment. And tomorrow again we will meet at 6 o'clock with income tax. Okay. Thank you. If you enjoyed
Thank
the
you, sir.
session, please pass certain comments.